What pie are you trying to eat from? Because it's very likely if you're struggling to get results with your Facebook ads, you're eating or trying to eat from the wrong pie. Now, let me explain what I mean. Especially since Facebook got rid of the different targeting options, so they removed a lot of the cold interests that we could target. A lot of people are struggling with their ads and they're struggling to try and find the right interests to target that are profitable. So, let me explain this with a little diagram. So, here's what most people do. And again, especially now that Facebook has removed a lot of the options. If you are, let's say you're selling a personal development course or a coaching course or whatever it is, right? What most people do, they go and set up an ad and they target Tony Robbins, right? TR, right? Most people, Tony Robbins, yes, I know his audience, they're my ideal customers. I'm going to target Tony Robbins, right? And you just think that because Tony Robbins has the right type of audience for you, if you target his audience, you are going to convert. But here's what happens, right? The problem is Tony Robbins is such an obvious person to target. Every single advertiser who's got a personal development course or a coaching course or whatever it is, everyone's targeting him. So even though he's got millions of people in his audience on Facebook, what happens is that not only are you targeting him, but this person is, this person is, this person is, and you can see there's literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people trying to target Tony Robbins. And they're all trying to spend all of their money targeting this one interest. So even though there are lots of people inside of Tony Robbins' audience, you know, you're competing with a million different advertisers who are targeting the same people. And Facebook works at an auction, right? So the more people, there's only a finite amount of people inside of Tony Robbins' audience, right? And it's going to generally stay the same, right? It might grow a little bit, but the supply of people in Tony Robbins' audience is going to stay pretty stagnant. But more and more people are going to the platform. More and more people are targeting Tony Robbins, again, especially after Facebook removed a lot of the smaller audiences. More and more people are targeting Tony Robbins, right? It becomes more competitive. So if supply stays the same and demand increases, then the cost is going to go up. So not only is it going to cost you more to get your ads shown in front of those people, but those people are also seeing lots of different ads from lots of different people because everyone's targeting Tony Robbins. And therefore, the conversions are actually going to be lower because this audience is very burnt out from seeing ads from very similar businesses to yours. And obviously, it's not just the personal development space. If you're a fitness coach or you're selling supplements and you're targeting weight loss or fitness, again, could be a huge pool of people, right? It could be a huge audience and there's loads of different people in here, right, who you want to target. And you're like, great, like I'm selling a weight loss supplement. I'm just going to target weight loss. Well, guess what? Every single supplement company in the land is fighting in that auction and they're pumping money into Facebook to try and get their ads in front of people. So what's going to happen is, just like with the Tony Robbins example, is that because the supply is pretty stagnant and the demand is high, you're going to end up paying a lot more to get your ads in front of people and the conversion is going to be lower. So it's very likely this is why it's not profitable. What you want to do, if you want to be successful on Facebook, is try and find the audiences that are smaller, that aren't so obvious. So if you're a personal development coach, don't target Tony Robbins. If you are a supplement weight loss brand, don't target weight loss. If you are an e-commerce agency, don't target Shopify, right? Because all your competition are doing those things. What you want to do is find a smaller audience, right? And there's going to be less people in there. So initially you might think, well, that's not very good because there's less people to go after. And okay, there might be a smaller proportion of people inside the audience. But guess what? You're very likely only going to be competing against a small number of advertisers. It's not a complete bloodbath like the bigger, more obvious audiences. So what happens? Okay, we've still got a finite supply. The supply isn't that big, but also the demand for those placements to that audience is also low. So you've got much more chance of winning the auction with Facebook and effectively getting a cheaper CPM. So you'll get cheaper placements, right? Now, typically as well, if less people are targeting, less of your competitors are targeting these target interests, then it's very likely that this smaller audience is going to be less jaded and less exposed to ads like yours. And if they're less jaded, less exposed, then it's very likely that the conversions are going to be much higher compared to this audience that gets shown a very similar ad to yours every single time they scroll. Now, obviously, they're still going to see ads, but the trick is if you want to be super ninja-like with your targeting, again, we'll use the Tony Robbins example. Obviously, Tony Robbins is a very obvious person to target if you're a coach. And different coaches, so maybe even like Grant Cardone, Gary Vaynerchuk, they're like the very Jack Canfield, all those people, right? Very obvious people to target. What you want to do is target a smaller audience, like I mentioned, but in a non-obvious niche, I suppose, or category. So every single coach is going to try and target all the different coaches that you can go after. Tony Robbins, Jack Canfield, I've just named them all. What you want to do is target an interest that has your ideal customers, but it's not necessarily in the category of like personal coach or business coach. So maybe you want to think about the different interests that your ideal customer has and try and target those. So for example, well, one of them could be software, right? So you could target software that if you're going after online coaches, then you can think of different software that they use, not necessarily public figures that they follow. You could think about, is the particular diets that your ideal customer follows? Are the books that they read? Are the magazines that they read? Are the different market interests that they have that aren't necessarily related to like business coaching? Because what happens is you can target these people and not many of your competition are going to be targeting those. So the people within this audience, even though some of them might not be an ideal customer, right? So if you're targeting like young entrepreneurs, a lot of like, especially like young male entrepreneurs, a lot of them follow like a keto diet or, they eat like a lot of meat, they try and cut carbs, like try and mental clarity, all that jazz, right? That's like a very popular approach. Like a lot of young people are like just binging out on meat, kind of like going against the vegan revolution. Now, if I'm teaching people, I don't know, like if I'm a business coach or I'm teaching people how to make money online or something like that, I want to target those like young entrepreneurs. I could target something like keto. Maybe keto is not the best example because it will be a popular interest, but something like that they're interested in that isn't directly related to like business coaching. Now, people in this audience who like keto, for example, aren't going to be all young guy entrepreneurs, but they also aren't, you're not competing against a million different business coaches. So they're not going to be as badly exposed as the people, who are targeting Tony Robbins. So not only should you target lesser obvious people within the niche, but you need to try and find interests that aren't directly related to your niche that your ideal customer still likes on Facebook. Because those people are going to have less competition from people like you. They might have competition from different businesses and different niches with different products and different services, but you're going to be like the only business coach marketing to that interest. And therefore, the audience within that interest are going to be less jaded to business coaches. Right? So, I hope that makes sense. Again, let's use the weight loss example just to drive it home. So, if I'm targeting like weight loss, let's say, for example, this is keto, right? It's super competitive. Everyone's targeting like keto. I want to find, if I'm trying to target, say, if I'm a weight loss coach and I don't want to target keto because it's too competitive, I need to think, if I'm going to help, say, young guys with the keto regime or keto diet, I need to think, what else are these young guys doing on a day-to-day basis that can help them with keto? Well, are there certain video games that demographic play on a daily basis? Maybe. Are there particular sports that they watch that might be a good interest? So, for example, you could target, trying to think of people who like to be lean. So you could target a particular sport, like whether that be like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it could be track running, it could be something, again, that is young people who would like to stay lean, but you aren't going to target the most obvious interest in keto, but you're going to target like something different, a different part of their life that they might enjoy. Right? Maybe your demographic really like drinking like kombucha or something like that. And that might not necessarily be related directly to like weight loss and keto, but also like a lot of people who drink kombucha are very like health conscious, right? But it's not directly related to weight loss. So it's about finding interests that are not only smaller than the big competitors, but stuff that your target market likes that not all your competition see as so obvious. So that's how you win, because you've got to be conscious now, especially with Facebook removing a lot of the target interest. A lot of the people now are just saying target interest doesn't work. It doesn't matter anymore. Like, you can just target broad, or you can just target like the big interests. It's all about creative. And there's some validity to that, but it's not also the truth. It's not the full truth. You can still find these small pockets of people, right? Or these small target interests that aren't that competitive. And if you're the only keto coach or business coach marketing to them, you're going to win the auction, and you're going to have an unfair advantage of the people who are just completely lazy and who are just targeting like the big names and the obvious target interests.